yeah, they're really bad. I got, sometimes I call like to my people in the clubhouse, bro, I feel like a fat boy, you know, like I'm fat.
Me too, dude. But it's that time of year. Summer bods are coming. They're loading. You don't need it right now.
This is SportsCenter.
Hey, I'm Julie Teixeira, filling in for Marissa. There's a lot of hockey on tonight, including the Winnipeg Jets in action, as they take on the New Jersey Devils in what is a huge game for the team. Because right now, every game's huge in Winnipeg. The Central Division is an absolute logjam at the top, with the Jets in first because they have the most games remaining. But they're tied in points with both the Avs and the Stars at 93. All three of these teams are playing some of the best hockey of their seasons right now, with Colorado being the best of the trio, currently on a 7-game heater. So what does this mean for the playoffs? Well, everything's up in the air for all of these clubs because as it stands, Vancouver is just a single point up on them for first in the West. Meaning Winnipeg, Colorado, and Dallas can land anywhere from winning the conference to coming third in their division. So if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, who would you rather want in the first round? Of their 4 potential opponents, Winnipeg actually has a perfect record against Colorado. But they're a combined 1-7 against Dallas, Nashville, and Vegas this season, with that one win coming against the Preds. Now, there's still a ton of games to be played before we decide the final standings, but if you look ahead a little, a 4-game road stretch against 4 divisional opponents that are all in and around a playoff spot at the beginning of April could play a major role in who faces who in the first round of the playoffs. The madness is officially underway with the men's tournament kicking off just a few short hours ago. 32 teams are in action across 16 games today, with the other 32 teams in the field tipping off tomorrow. Now, thankfully, it's a little too early for all of our bar down brackets to be busted, and we've got a real treat for you today as we're joined by our basketball analyst, Jack Armstrong, who's right in the thick of our March Madness coverage across our network. Thanks so much for making some time for us today, Jack.
Thank you, Julia.
All right, Jack, one of the biggest games of the night is Conference Cinderella NC State taking on Texas Tech. Now, the Wolverines weren't even on the Madness radar after ending their regular season on a 4-game losing skid. But they flipped the switch in the ACC tournament and reeled off 5 straight wins to secure their spot, including beating Duke in the quarters and North Carolina in the final. Do you think NC State could pull off yet another upset tonight?
Well, they got to continue to shoot the ball at a high level. I mean, look, in the last 4 weeks, they've shot over 40% from three-point range, and that's been a big part of it. And then when you look at their team, DJ Burns inside, the big fella, he's such a force around the basket that a lot of times you got to send a second guy down to him. It opens things up on the perimeter. And then when you look around the perimeter, DJ Horn, Casey Mornell, Michael O'Connell and company, they've done a great job playing complementary ball around their big fella. So, you know, a lot of times it comes down to getting hot at the right time, knocking off Duke, knocking off Carolina, winning the ACC, basically playing their way into the tournament was a great, great accomplishment for them. I do think they're vulnerable. You know, a lot of times it takes so much out of you to win a conference tournament to qualify your way in that you don't have a lot left. Only time will tell. But I think for me right now, they've been a really fun story. Bottom line, if the big fella continues to produce DJ inside and they shoot the 3, why not?
Thanks so much for joining us, Jack. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Meanwhile, if you think that's a Cinderella story, we need to come up with an entirely different fairy tale for what's transpired with Long Beach State. After losing their final 5 games of the regular season, they announced that they had agreed to a mutual separation with head coach Dan Momsen, who would finish out the remainder of the season and coach them in the conference tourney. Little did they know he'd lead them to the Big West Championship and the NCAA tournament. And Momsen knew he was playing with house money, with their tourney opener against heavily favored Arizona.
Yeah, I don't have to answer anything I don't want to because I'm working for free today. So it's like you guys see the Seinfeld when George Costanza was trying to get fired and couldn't lose his job and still going to work every day, and that's me.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know what to say about this. Is this legal? Is this real? Do they hire him back next year? Is this like breaking up with your ex and getting back together? The world will see, but this is crazy. And we all know this is an amazing time as a sports fan, especially on TSN, which is why we have a pair of exciting offers that you can take advantage of right now. For a limited time, 3 months of TSN is available for only $40, and 3 months of TSN Plus could be yours for only $12. Not only for your March Madness fix, But with the Masters just around the corner, plus PGA Tour Live, F1, and so many other sports kicking into high gear, you do not want to miss out on this offer. Time now for my favorite segment and yours, Why We Love Sports Today.
Why we love sports today.
We're still a week away from opening day for the Blue Jays, and Joey Votto is still doing his best to make the roster out of camp. Hitting a homer in his first and only at-bat this spring so far, after signing late with his hometown team. And if his former teammate in Cincy, Spencer Steer, had any say, his leadership alone might be worth a roster spot, especially for this young Jays team.
What is your best Votto story? Because everybody's got one.
We were hitting BP in Anaheim. My two older brothers who are twins are standing behind home plate. Joey comes up to me actually and he goes, "Hey, those are your two brothers, right? I'm gonna go say what's up to them after a round. That's cool." I was like, "Yeah, they love it." I've mentioned, my brothers' names before, but in that moment, that day, I didn't say what their names were. And he goes up and he's like, "Connor and Tyler, right?" I was just taken back. I'm like, he knows my older brother's names. Like, I don't even remember telling him that. Says hello and he's like, "Tyler, you recently got married. Like, that's awesome. Congratulations." I'm like, wow, like this guy is a future Hall of Famer and he cares enough to know my older brother's names and that one of them recently got married. Like, I was blown away by that. I thought that was super cool of him. That's a good way of describing who Joey is. Just a really good person, but because everyone just knows him as a baseball player.
That is really nice. It's nice that he knew his brother's names. It's a little creepy, I'll admit. I'm just kidding. It's wholesome. Joey Votto is like a good team uncle vibe, team dad vibe that I think the Toronto Blue Jays are in need of. So I'm into this. Remember, Steer was just a rookie with the Reds last year. Had only been in the organization since the trade deadline in 2022. So Votto really did take an interest in all of his teammates. The Crave craze is winding down here on DSC as our semifinals went down yesterday. And of the 4 remaining shows, none of them were really a surprise, aside from Game of Thrones. But March Madness always brings a little chaos.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
Thrones could not keep climbing the ladder. And you know what? I've never watched it. I think you guys are freaks for watching it. So good, you freaks. As they were the latest show to get into the office this way. A wholesome, incredible sitcom that comforted me when I was alone in university. The Office taking it 65 to 35%. Landslide. So The Office moves on to the finals, but who will they get? Well, unfortunately, the feel-good story of this bracket, Curb Your Enthusiasm, headed home. So here we are at the finals, and it's definitely one we could have seen coming. As The Sopranos are taking on The Office, it's like my mom and my dad fighting one another. How am I to choose? So who you got? Our #1 seed coming into this thing, The Sopranos, or widely beloved, kind of scrappy underdog, The Office? Going like this makes it feel like I'm cheering for The Sopranos. This is neutral, that's just what I do. And just a heads up, if you're watching us on any platform that isn't Instagram stories and you want to vote, go to TSN's Instagram stories and get your vote in. That's all for today. I'll be back here at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific tomorrow. Have a good one.